Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Viewertown. My name is Gorilla, and with my co-host Mightygerm, today we have a special guest. She is a Texas race freak of Shirayuri Pro. What's your new title? Shooting Star Press Idol or something?
What the fuck is a star press? I still want to know what that is.
Gorilla, please.
What is it?
I don't. Okay. So let me just go ahead and introduce myself. All right, everyone, you guys know what to do. Say no. Tiger, fiber, cyber, diver, fiber, viper. Nyaruchuuu. Hello, everyone. My name is Nyaruchuuu. I am the Eternal Shooting Star Idol of Shirayuri Productions, and it's nice to meet you.
How often do you practice out? I heard it like at least 10 times while we're at Offkai.
I practice it pretty often, especially with the new title that I just added, Eternal Shooting Star Idol. I still slip up every now and then and say fail idol, but what do you call it? Yeah, it took a lot of practicing to get used to saying the new phrase.
It's a mouthful.
You have it like just memorized now.
Yeah.
It's all muscle memory for my mouth at this point.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Thank
You have like a new brand now.
I'm very proud of it.
Going forward.
Especially after all the success at Offkai, which is going to be what we're talking about today. We're talking about Offkai. I thought that I just needed a fresh
on the show now, I guess.
Well, yeah, I kind of run the show now, guys.
Yes. So we have been sold to Nyaruchuuu. She has instituted a hostile takeover of Viewertown, and now we are the Nyaruchuuu.
Yeah, we're Nyaruchuuu now. Congratulations, I am the new CEO.
Good luck.
Wait, well, man, now Mightygerm's like bumped down the ladder as the worst Viewertown member even further.
So he is the worst Viewertown member.
Exactly. See, no, believe me.
Oh man.
I thought it was just a rumor.
I gotta work on my ratings. But yeah, Offkai Expo is the first, VTuber convention over here. It was held in the beautiful San Jose, California, a couple weeks ago, and myself, Mightygerm, was there along with Nyaruchuuu.
Yeah, I wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah, you missed out. All the FOMO.
They were asking for me. According to Mightygerm, people were clamoring about where the host of Viewertown was.
Yeah, they had signs up. This is like everyone would come up to me and be like, "Where's Gorilla? Where's your co-host?" And I'm like, couldn't make it this time. I had to, say all of the excuses.
How many excuses did you come up with for the weekend?
Oh God. Well, I will like fill our listeners in on how everything got started with Offkai, because we need the context behind this. So it being Nyaru, actually, where did you hear about it first? Because that was like everyone seemed to hear about it off the grapevine somehow.
So I also work with this other convention called Northwest Idol Festival. It takes place in Seattle. Phoebe was the one that talked to them initially at one of their booths. They had there at the con. So she told. I think they initially agreed on something for her to come down to Offkai Expo, and then eventually they kind of saw that Phoebe was part of S Pro, and then they saw everyone in S Pro, and they're like, "Ooh, we like what we see here." So then they contacted Ancho, and then that's how I knew about Offkai Expo, was technically through Phoebe, technically through Northwest Idol Festival. So lots of technicalities, but that's how I got to know about Offkai Expo in the first place.
Yeah, so it felt kind of weird because it seems like everybody heard from different places, like Mighty said, and I don't think they were very good at revealing what they were, because initially I thought it was going to be like one of those like virtual cons.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too at the first.
And they weren't very good at like revealing like, hey, what's actually is this gonna be like, are the people showing up actually gonna show up, or are you gonna have like a bunch of screens in a room?
Yeah, that was one of the weird things, like because we're so used, like, I mean, I've been to a ton of cons and everything, but we're so used to it coming out like on a set schedule. You know what was going to happen and everything, and this being their first con, and being VTuber con virtual, we didn't know, like, are these people going to show up? Are they going to be behind like a screen where you can't see them, fully
Yeah.
remote? Like, so we had no idea.
And
Yeah.
this was
Like,
revealed really early as well. It was like in January, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, this
yeah,
was
because that's
several
around the
months
time
ago.
I got contacted for Offkai Expo, actually, like around December 2021, January 2022. Um, and yeah, I was also like kind of curious about it too, because I was like, okay, as me as someone who came from like idol culture background, I know what the word offkai means. It means offline. So I assumed, okay, it's going to be a physical event. Super cool. But normal people who aren't accustomed to like those kind of like terminology or anything like that, I was kind of worried for them. I was like, oh, do they know what offkai means, or are they going to see it as like another virtual con? But at the same time, I'm also glad that like it turned out to be a virtual, not virtual, a physical event, because this is actually my first event coming back from COVID. I haven't been to a con since I think 2019. Like December 2019 was my last time, and now it's 2022, and I really, it made me realize I love physical cons again.
Yeah, Nyaru's back, baby. It's the same for me. I haven't been into a con since COVID started either.
Hmm.
And definitely, me just being kind of like a normal, like non, VTuber person, it's like there was also a question of like, is this like a real thing? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I remember like even like around January, February, everyone started like started the ball really got rolling for Offkai when it came to like social media presence and everything. And I even saw people clowning, being like, "Oh, it's gonna be another Dash Con. It's gonna be another Flop Con or something like that." But it was funny because after the con, apparently everyone had major FOMO about not going. Because I mean, I thought it was that great.
yeah, it turned out awesome. Once I looked into who was running it, they had legitimate resume and everything like that. So, but
Yeah.
there was always the problem of, are people going to show up? The VTuber
Mm-hmm.
audience being, so primarily virtual, but it kind of turned out, especially for a debut con,
Mm-hmm.
had
I could
a nice presence as well.
I actually got to talk with the head con organizer when I was there, just because we've been communicating online, and then
You're
we
talking
see each
about
other face
James?
to face. Uh, Rat,
Oh,
no,
Rat,
one of
Rat.
them, yeah, Rat, and I was like telling them like for a first year, very niche, hobby con. I don't want to say hobby, but
It's a
it's
niche
still,
con, like, that's
yeah, it's
very,
still
very
very
common.
niche. Like like with Northwest Idol Festival, we had about like I think it was like 200 plus show up, and the idol scene itself is not really that big here in here, at least like in the United States. But for this first year con being about VTubers, where again, like you said, the online space is more, has more population versus like the real life space, it turned out really good. The final numbers I think were around like 6 or 700 total attendees.
Yeah, yeah. They said at the closing, I think it was like around 700, which was
Mhm.
much more than I was expecting. And, it turned out to be a good, like the hotel wasn't too crowded or anything like that. But
Yeah.
there are a couple things that go on that went on that we'll talk about, in a bit as well.
Yeah.
But I just, before we move on really quick, I just want to say about Rat, vice director of Offkai, helped us a lot as well. Um, we ended up applying for a press badge, for Offkai at the very last minute because, we're just like, hey, Viewertown, we should like, cover it, shoot some video and, do some interviews and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, why not? Right. So they helped us get a last minute press badge. And then, Rat also helped set up the interview, gave us space to do interviews and everything like that. So just
Mhm.
a big shout out Offkai staff.
Yeah, big shout out to all the staff too. Like, we'll talk about this later, but there were like a lot of staff and volunteers there. A lot of these people were also like, this is their first time kind of like running a event like by themselves, technically. Like they had the experience and everything, but this was the first time venture for a lot of them, and they did such a good job. And I could not be prouder for every single individual that put their heart and soul into Offkai.
Yeah, definitely. Also, speaking of like the kind of like the pre-con things, right? You guys had several panels set up as well. Your karaoke concert, and everything
Mhm.
else. Was that set up like through like S Pro? Did they organize all that, or were you guys like just like kind of submitted your own panel? Like, how did you actually get registration for this kind of
So
stuff?
I was a featured guest there, and usually like how cons go is when you're a featured guest, they give you like either a certain amount of hours to do panels, or they could give you like a certain space to do like a panel or anything like that. So they allocated hours just for special guests, so we didn't need to go through a submission process or anything. They
Mhm.
even gave us ideas about like what we can do. Like for example, the idea to do the concert was on their part, so that's why we did the, I think it was like a 3 hour long or 2 or 3 hour long space for me, Yodo, and Phoebe. We each got 45 minutes to do a performance. And then they asked us after that, "Oh, do you have any panel ideas? We have space allocated for you guys." And that's where I was like, let me do that cool panel about VTubing and idol culture. And that's how I got to do that. And then same exact thing for the meet and greet. They just asked us, are you interested in doing a meet and greet? And we were like, yeah, let's do it. So they allocated the hours for us, and we were able to use that space in the meet and greet space to conduct our meet and greets.
Yeah, as the meet and greets, that was a real question mark for me, right? Especially dealing with VTubers. It's like, how are they gonna this typical kind of idol culture thing? How are they gonna translate it to people being in a physical event and meet and greeting with with their VTubers? And
Mhm.
um I guess it worked out well. They had, a separate room. I mean, I'll tell it from the perspective of, someone just walking in, and they had it like behind a little screen. So you had a little bit of privacy. You got to go in there, and they had a TV and camera set up where you talk to the VTuber one on one. They usually had some sort of merchandise or something, and you could also take a picture with them. So I thought that was really cool. Like, especially for like a first time thing. I think it does it cap. Do you think it like kind of captures that kind of idol, like handshake event energy?
It honestly it kind of did, because like if you ever go to like a traditional like idol handshake event in Japan, usually you like go into like their little slot, and then the staff will tell you, okay, wait here while the other person goes, and then once that person is finished, they send them over. You have about like, usually in Japan it's like 30 seconds or sometimes even 10 seconds depending on which groups you go to. But for us, we had about, I think, like a minute to like 3 minutes each with each person. And then after that, they would take a picture with us or whatever, and then they would get like the little print card that I hand autograph. Like I autographed mine 30 minutes before actually. And so those are fresh. And yeah, then they just went, and then the cycle kind of continues.
Yeah, they got like screens in Japan now too, so that even feels more segregated. Where there's
Hmm.
like a screen between the person and the idol.
Oh yeah, I guess that's because of COVID reasons. And
Yeah, but
there was
but
also,
it, but it still adds to like that, like feels really similar.
mhm, yeah, so the similarity is definitely there.
Unfortunately, they were doing like, I know Phoebe was doing like the Polaroid thing. What's it like? It was called checking. I
Hmm.
like
Yeah, techies.
So she was taking
I love
Polaroids
techies.
with their
Mhm,
fans during meet and greet. That was also super cool.
mhm.
As well, just kind of merging of the two, the idol culture and the VTuber culture together. So that was neat to see. And I would think in the future, you know, each VTuber kind of have their own style of doing meet and greets, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, so like an interesting thing about the meet and greet is that I saw Phase Connect. They ran a meet and greet for Lumi
Oh,
uh
yeah.
a week after because she couldn't make it there, or rather they like, yeah, she was there but she didn't have one, so they organized a meet and greet in their server for her, and I think there's one for Urika this week.
Mhm,
So they're definitely playing. I think that's like something that's fun to experiment because small corporate VTubers are still kind of separated from their viewers
mhm.
as far as like interactivity. So having something like that, but also like it's a unique experience you don't really get to have very often.
Yeah, like one-on-one time. And again, like this is like you brought up a good point, Gorilla. This is something that wouldn't work for like a Hollow Live or Niji Sanji, right? It'd just be way too many
Yeah.
people and just nightmare.
Mhm,
So the small corporations are kind of in that. This is like, maybe this is like one of their niches. Like they're in that kind of niche to like go to these type of events, hold these meet and greets, hold them off, purely online as well, while having still kind of manageable numbers.
Yeah. they're still working out like a niche for themselves. But I think this is something that they could take to their advantage.
And on
Well, did the actually that speaking of which, did like the Nishi Sanji girls have meet and greets? They were
No, they did
there.
not.
Yeah, they were just there for like a concert or something, right?
Yeah, they
or
were
at the
there for
last
the
light
concert
Q and
and the
A,
Q&A.
right?
Yep, that's it.
But the VShojo, there was VShojo ones. Iron Mouse
Mhm.
and Melody had theirs.
Yeah. Those
Unfortunately, I
lines
did
were
not
like
get.
gigantic.
Yeah, those ones you had to get tickets for. It was like a raffle. I wasn't able to. I tried. I spun the wheel and did not get a ticket.
Yeah.
So
So like they'd have to do something like that, but even then, that was still like a huge,
yeah, it's huge.
huge line from what
Oh,
I've heard.
okay. The lines, girl, the lines. Okay, so the lines are kind of funny, right? Because I ended up standing in line for Pippa's meet and greet, and um, this is another like con culture thing, right? When you're standing in a line to meet your favorite VTuber or whatever, and you're just like talking with the people there. People are taking pictures with each other, showing off stuff. Really, really that kind of camaraderie, that kind of social community thing. That's kind of that you get in person, right?
Mhm.
They even had I believe and they had Fates Connect staff there. I believe like Sakana was there. Some Boo was there.
Boo,
Boo was
Boo was
there,
there.
and some they were like walking. They were walking the line, talking to people. Like just being part of that community, which was really cool. And I also saw, so it was far enough away that it was in a kind of like a private room, so you couldn't see what was going on, but you could definitely hear some things. So you would occasionally hear in Pippa's line, you hear Pippa like screaming or being really loud or something, right? But you couldn't actually make out what they were saying. So one
How big was the room?
it was
Because from like the pictures I've seen, it was like they just took like one of the panel rooms and then they just repurposed it.
It seems smaller than the panel room. It's like a normal sized bedroom, maybe like a oh no, it's actually a little bit bigger than that. Maybe it was like a 15 by 15 room or something. I would like completely spitballing. Um, but definitely big enough to have a TV, a person in the middle, some
Yeah.
privacy screen, right? But yeah, so we heard Pippa scream, and we see this guy like running out of the panel room, clutching his chest and looking downcast and downtrodden. And I'm like, and I actually called out the guy. I was like, dude, are you all right? And he was like, just like kind of shakes his head and like moves on. So I thought nothing, I thought, okay, some people are going to be nervous meeting their Oshi or whatever, right? Come to find out later that maybe it's like someone like tried to propose to Pippa or something
Oh
like
my
something extremely
god.
cringe like that. And I'm like, oh, this is the exactly wrong VTuber to do this to.
Could you see like the setup they had? Like what happens if you just took like the like equipment?
What, like, oh, in that room?
Yeah, like what if somebody just rans out with the
There was
equipment?
No,
always
no.
there was always like staff members
Yeah,
in
there was a
there,
staff
so
member. There's only one door in and out, and
They
there was a
can't
staff
stop
member
me.
there permanently. So
I'll stop you.
yeah,
The secret streaming room was right next to you, and if I heard you take it, I would have bolted the fuck out.
That's even better. I get to see you in person.
I mean, I attended physically. People saw me physically, so
Whatever.
well, next year will you do an in-person meet and greet?
I haven't thought about that yet. Because,
Yeah.
like, me personally, like, I'm okay if I'm like at the booth or like just walking around, people recognize me, I'll say hi. But as for like official like activities and like events and things like that, I really haven't decided if I really want to go forward with like a Phoebe style 2.5D idol
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Because that seems like a
I
whole like buying into that, doing that thing, right?
Definitely. Something I mentioned during my panel was like, with, being an idol, you really have to make your physical presence known. You have to be very, very intimate, and really, really put yourself out there. And that's something I really admire about Phoebe already. Like she already puts herself out there so much, and she's able to like, create a lot of good community and boundaries like between everyone, just despite having like that physical presence. Because you know how most of the community feels about like showing faces and
Oh
everything.
yeah, that
Like
was a whole
some
nother
people,
thing, right? Are people going to
Yeah,
be?
yeah,
I actually wanted to ask about that. Did you guys like ask anybody or talk about that at all? Like,
um, people. Okay, so here's what happened with me. People would come up to me and like they'd be like, "Hey, are you Nyaru?" Well, I would say like, "Yeah, that's me." And surprisingly, everyone was really respectful about it. There were a couple people that did ask me for like pictures, but I told them, "Hey, I'm more than happy to take a picture with you, but just don't post it like on social media or anything like that." And but overall, like I was really just surprised that people were very respectful, even though like my favorite saying for the whole weekend was, "I'm sorry I ruined your what did it say? I'm sorry
Ruin
I
your
ruined
what?
your
Immersion.
Your
your
version.
immersion." Yeah, I'm sorry I ruined your immersion, but it's super nice to meet you. That I would literally say that every time I greeted myself to someone. But
Yeah,
most of the people were like very nice about it. I was
I
really
think that was
expecting.
like one of the concerns early on was that
Mhm.
it's having a convention like an offline physical convention for something like this is a little bit I suppose counterintuitive
Yeah.
just because of the culture and not really wanting to meet these people or not
Mhm.
wanting to like perceive these people I should say and
Yeah.
they did do like a really good job with preserving some of that but a lot of people were content creators before VTubings, so
Mhm.
they were comfortable with showing up. So I wonder if there was like a culture clash there.
I kind
With
of felt it honestly, because like especially like I said with Phoebe, she's already done this so much as like being a physical idol before VTubing, and every time she would come out, she would always have like people coming up and saying hi to her, and like they recognize her and everything. And I had a little bit of that myself because, as y'all know, I've done idol activities like in the past before. Some people actually do know what I look like physically, and
Mhm.
I had some people who would be like, "Oh, I followed you since like." You did your idol festival stuff and you came here and you did like this and this and it's super happy to see you like growing as a VTuber. I'm like, wow, thank you. It's really nice, honestly, to hear that, even people who, followed you for so long are able to like support you in these new activities, but also grow into like the sort of VTubing culture as well, where they're like super respectful if you don't want to show your face, or if you do, like they're still they're all just very respectful. The whole con was so respectful about it.
yeah,
Again, I was really surprised. I was really expecting something cringe to happen, but nothing
yeah.
happened.
I
Right.
mean,
Especially
honestly,
because they had no way of enforcing it, right?
yeah. I
There
mean,
was
well, the
really no
thing,
way.
like the funny thing is that like as cringe as some people are, I can't imagine somebody would like pay their money and then go around just shitting on people.
You'd be
Yeah, you
surprised.
would
The
think.
the con scene, well, the general con scene, not like the VTubing scene or anything, but general con, they could get pretty catty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can imagine that, but maybe not like publicly.
Right. And especially
Uh,
this being a
Uh,
first year thing,
uh,
right?
yeah, especially being a first year, there's not really nothing much. I guess
yeah.
like
Yeah, we'll see next.
fuel.
We'll
We'll see
see next
next year.
year, I
Yeah,
Next
we'll
year
guess.
will be
see
the
next
real
year.
test of that, right? Because people
Yeah.
know what it is. It's a known
Mhm.
quantity. There's probably going to be many, many more VTubers there. Everyone who missed out.
Definitely a lot more viewers too. I really feel like
Yeah.
it's gonna be doubling in their attendance next year.
I wonder if they have to get to a new hotel.
That's what I was wondering too. Like I love the hotel. I actually genuinely like the hotel they were at, even though like the hotel rooms and the actual com part were pretty far from each other. Hey, give me a good workout. But I don't know, I really liked it. The one thing I did like the most about it is I had no trouble getting cell service or, like, internet phone service at all during the weekend. I was able to communicate with everyone during the con, make sure I was, like, keeping in contact with my family, like, no issues with that. And I kinda worry that, like, since this is such an internet-focused con and I feel like this is the one venue that can provide these sort of services, at least in San Jose, I'm just worried, like, if they move somewhere else, they're gonna kinda, like, lose that and then, like, possibly have to pay more for, like, internet services or, like, good internet connections, you know?
Right, because the big question was, and I think this is part of the reason that they had everything in person, was that they weren't sure they could stream it from an internet point of view, right? If the internet was be good enough
Mhm.
for them to stream multiple panels at the same time. I know they had even like with the setup they had there, they had a little bit of delay with the virtual panels, and the audience was delayed about 5 seconds, right?
Yeah, it was about a 5-second delay. So the method that we used for streaming was called RTMP, and usually they connect it. So we put in like a cool little, like stream address and a stream password or key or something on our OBSs, and then we streamed directly to like a like our think of it like our own little like Twitch server,
Okay, okay.
and then they pop it out onto a screen, and then that's how they kind of showed us. But there is a big lag with it. I've used this method so many times for uh Series I events, like their online concert events that they would do, and every time I would do like I would finish a song or like I would do like my catchphrase, uh I would always have to wait like 5 or 6 seconds for, like, the chat to at least react. So when I heard they were doing this method, I'm like, "Okay, I gotta take that into account." And apparently this is a lot of people's first time using this specific method. The other method that they had was ping.gg, which you should go definitely check them out, please. Not
I
sponsored,
was
I
about to say,
promise.
are you sponsored by me?
Not sponsored, but it's a really good service, and that's actually what we use for the meet and greets, though. So we would just log on to the little ping room that they had, and then they would slap um, our screens onto the TV, and then bada bing, bada boom, we got ourselves a meet and greet, and there was no lag on that one
Yeah,
though.
yeah. There was no lag on the meet and greets, and also there was a couple. I know they had like Iron Mouse around on a like an iPad with a camera that
Hmm.
people could, and I think that's awesome too, right? For people who actually can't be
Yeah.
there, you can have like that setup. That was like there was someone in the vendor hall as well. I think Abigail had a little just in the vendor hall, on a little iPad, had a camera, a two-way camera set up. You could just talk to the VTuber, right? And there's like
Hmm.
people crowding around it. It was like a little event. And then Gunren was running around with the V Shoujo idol or V Shoujo VTubers on like a big like tripod looking thing. So
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, uh how did the panel POV look? Because I know that you could see like the audience in the room and everything. How was that like? What was that like?
like from the perspective of like the VTuber or the
Yeah, from the VTuber.
Oh, uh, so we were able to see the audience, which was really, really cool. I actually didn't expect that. I was just expecting to like hear them. But we were able to see everyone. So how they had it set up was one side would be like our screen slash projector playing us. And then the other side is where they had like the little camera and like the kind of like tech center where they would help everyone like get up on the screen and make sure the RTMP method was working properly. Um, and then on top of that screen was like the little camera that was just pointing at the audience. And it was at an angle, so it wasn't like directly in front of everyone. It was like towards like a corner.
right. There are
But
definitely blind spots, so I don't think you can see
yeah,
the whole
definitely
room.
blind spots.
Because I think the rooms could hold, I would guess, like roughly 100 people, and the panels had pretty good attendance. Like,
Yeah, I was really surprised on my panel. I was expecting like not a lot of people to show up just because like there's a whole bunch of other
Yeah.
like cool stuff happening in the
plus
main
you were like
events.
the
But
first one, like one of the first ones.
yeah, I was the first one to do a lot of things actually. Like I was the first one to do a panel in that room, first one to do to be the experiment meet and greet monkey.
Yes,
Um
the guinea
and
pig.
yeah, I was really the guinea pig, which I didn't mind. I'm so used to doing like guinea pig-esque like testing for cons anyways. And everything was it was just really smooth. Again, it was a
Well, like,
really, really smooth setting up and everything.
yeah, there are a couple issues though. I went to
Mm,
a panel, late night panel. Actually, it was like Power Nelson's panel, right? Late at night.
mm.
Him and Bunzel, noted a Viewertown guest, and there was some sort of internet issue, and I guess it was on their end because like,
Yeah.
but it had them
Mhm.
like freezing on the screen for like minutes at a time, but they could still hear
Mhm.
the audience while their expressions were just frozen on the screen. So I
Ah,
think we chalked
so
that
I
up
can
to good
explain.
old Comcast.
Yeah, so I can actually explain why they could hear the audience, but they weren't able to like, reply or anything. So yes, for the RTMP method, it does require both ends to have good internet. And if you don't have good internet, then the you connecting to that one, it'll just get messed up. So yeah, fuck Comcast is what I'm trying to say. Second, the reason why they were able to still hear the audience is because the audience was actually being viewed through ping. So if you're able to, get ping working and everything, you'll still be able to look at the audience and like hear them and everything, which is kind of weird now that I kind of say it in words, like that they were able to like still view and hear the audience, but then they were having internet issues with art. I don't know.
I don't know.
Internet
Maybe it was
sucks,
their
man.
upload.
Yeah, their upload speed too. Yeah, there could be a variety of reasons, but it does require both ends to have like very stable internet.
Mhm. But it was a good
Because
thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, What were you saying?
No. It was a good thing because like the we actually had the audience take over. So when the when the stream wasn't working, we had some of the people in the audience come up to the mic and tell some of their stories as well to kind of fill in the dead
Mhm.
air. The viewers, the viewers
The
taking
viewers
control of the
save
situation.
no, viewers save Chubas once again.
Yeah. Once
Yeah.
again, we'll keep
Without
having to bail you
without
out of
us,
situations.
without us, they're nothing. Actually,
Oh god. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Ping or someone else like moved into this kind of realm of doing remote plus live collaboration like tools, software, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
but speaking of viewers, though, like, what was it like meeting them for the first time? For like everybody involved, like you, your company mates, even Mightygerm. Like, what was it?
Oh, oh.
What was it like meeting your friends? Who?
So I was expecting myself to not be as social as I thought I would, because like, again, it's my first con since Rona, and I was I was excited for it. At the same time, I was like, I'm not excited for the social part
Oh,
as of yet,
old
because
hermit
I was
Nyaru.
yeah, I'm a hermit. I'm sorry. I was like, oh man, my social battery is gonna be drained by the first day. I'm not even gonna want to come out of my room or anything. But surprisingly, like meeting Phoebe. This is my first time meeting Phoebe ever. I've seen Phoebe before at other California events. Just because we tend to go to like a lot of the same events. Before Rona. But I was too much of a pussy to go up to her, as you can
Oh
tell,
my god.
and multiple times, mind you, just not just one time, multiple times I've seen her, and I was all times pussied out. But this time, since we're in the same agency, we kind of have to meet each other because we're gonna be working together. So I had to like rip off my pussy and just be like, I can't have you this weekend. I gotta man up. Um, and yeah, it was really nice meeting her for the first time. And then only one Esper staff member was able to be there, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But that was Ichan, which Jeremy, you talked to them before, and it was super nice meeting them too. They picked me up from the airport, and then they kind of kept track of me all throughout the weekend because I have this thing. I don't know, for those who have
Yes.
been to cons before,
Each had
Jeremy
with
knows what I'm talking
your
about.
chaperone. I had make sure Niara goes to bed. Buy Niara food so she doesn't forget to eat during the con.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like so we had to leave like midway through the Nijisanji karaoke because our pizza was here, and each time I was like, come on, Yana, we gotta go, gotta eat our pizza. And I'm like, okay. But Pom was gonna see. No, let's go get our
I
pizza.
swear you guys are like Tamagotchis, where you have to make sure like you feed your VTuber and water, hydrate your VTuber. Make sure-
That's the viewer experience TM.
Yeah, it really is. Sometimes someone
But
should actually
yeah,
come out with those like little like VTuber like Tamagotchis
oh my
that
god,
you
please.
have to like water,
I,
hydrate and feed and
I would totally, if I could find somewhere like a cheap Chinese knockoff producer place, I would totally get one of me.
yeah, that'll be fun. Like little merch things. Like if they weren't like that expensive
Mhm.
to make, like you can make it like very very simple. That's a good idea. All right,
Yeah.
this is Viewertown patent. Number 57.
Yeah,
Do
that
not
down.
steal.
Write that down. Write that down.
Yeah. In terms of meeting other viewers, like it was definitely a great experience. And I met people that I've only talked to online a bunch, and new people were generally very friendly as well. But you still get this, a little like they're not like antisocial or anything, but sometimes you have to, kind of prod people out of their shell, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked to a lot of people in the halls and stuff. A lot of people were surprised I came all the way from the East Coast. So like because definitely like the California kind of niche con culture is kind of its own thing, right? Or the West Coast thing where a lot of them, will travel a lot to go to those cons, the local cons. But what was really fun was, they had the room parties, right? Oh,
Oh
oh.
yeah.
So the room party saga in Offkai was a little funny, right? So they had them for
Mm-mm.
Friday night, Saturday night, and there was an unofficial one on Sunday night as well.
Didn't only like you win?
No. We had a bunch of people in our group that went. But Friday night, I didn't get to go to them because there was like cons and other things I was going, or panels and other things I was going to, but I was going to show up at like 10, 11 or so. Turned to find out that the room parties got shut down. Now, the room parties were on floor. They were like on floor 2 of the hotel, right? There's like 3 or 4 parties, drinks and karaoke and all that kind of good stuff. And they got noise complaints because apparently there was like a nurses convention or something like that, and they were all staying on room or floor 2. And apparently, like I talked to some of the con staff, and they're like, they weren't supposed to like put us in the same floor, right? But it just ended up that way, and people were too loud, so they had a little Offkai. They had a Offkai person sitting in the chair in front of the elevators on floor 2, turning people away, telling them that the party's over. So that kind of put a damper on things. That was a Friday night, and Saturday night they
Mm-hmm.
just kind of moved all the room parties to the first floor. Like I don't know how they like got the rooms, or I don't know
I
how
think
Offkai arranged this, but they just got moved to
so.
first floor rooms.
Sometimes cons will like rent out just like extra rooms just for like storage space or for like staff space or anything like that.
Hmm.
So what probably happened was they converted like a space that they already had reserved,
Hmm.
probably for something else, but they converted it into like for example the
Okay, room.
karaoke room, which was not officially sanctioned by the con. It was like one of those supposed to be like a room party, but they moved all the karaoke people down into one room and they had a cute little neon sign as a
Oh
karaoke,
yeah,
and
that was awesome.
I'm really glad. I'm really glad that they like compromised, because if this was like a bigger con, I feel like they would have been like, "Nah, you're out of luck. See you next year," or something like that. But Offkai really did care about like every single aspect, whether it be attendees, party hosts, guests, their own staff. Like again, a very nice turnout. Very nice results of bad events and stuff like I guess I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
But yeah, definitely just like to go back to room parties real quick. The people I met there, like a lot of just normal VTubers or normal fans and viewers and all that. They were having VTuber themed drinks, little cocktails and
Mm,
everything. It was a really fun experience. I got to talk to people, a lot of local people. I got to talk to like a viewer that like only knew about like Nishi Shanji and Hololive, right? They didn't know about any like the small corporate, any indie VTubers at all. And he was like, wow, I just
mhm.
didn't know about any of this other stuff, the VTuber stuff, right? He just decided to come. So, that's another person whose, eyes were opened, to the kind of wider, I can't speak today, the wider world of VTubing, which is like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people were like that, especially like okay, so like during my meet and greet, I would ask people like, "Hey, is this like your first time coming back to a con during after Rona, or is this like your first ever con?" And like I would say about half the people that were there, either this is their first con after Rona or this is their first time ever coming to a convention. And most of the first timers, they only knew about like, for example, Fi Shoujo or Hololive or Niji Sanji. And I got a lot of people coming to me even afterwards saying like, "Wow, I didn't know that like, VTubers here, or there was like other VTubers, and I'm really glad that I went because now I have a more open mind." And I'm really glad that was the case. That was one thing I was really afraid about. It was like, oh, people are going to come for the Nichi Sanji stuff and then like leave, or people are going to come for like the V Shoujo stuff and leave. But the amount of open minds that were there just astonished me so much, to the point where I was really proud of myself for making such like a great impression, and getting possibly getting a lot of them to look at other indie VTubers or smaller VTuber corporations.
Yeah, so I think like the panels did a really nice job with that because
Mhm.
there was a lot of indie VTuber panels and there was actually a lot of like small corporate VTuber panels. So even if people, didn't really get interested, there was just so many of them that they were gonna draw some kind of crowd, some of them.
right.
So I think that was really cool. And even though like some of the panels were kind of in concept, it's still really nice to have like people from, I guess not like the big leagues speak about stuff, and you get to hear them and
Get the
just like actually
exposure.
get to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, get to talk to them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that's like I think people who showed up for like the Nishi Sanji and Vishojo, I think they were expecting that they were just gonna get a show. They weren't gonna get like any interaction. So they would have
Mhm.
but the thing is you're at a con for 3 days. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna you're not just gonna be like You're not just gonna sit in your hotel all day. You're gonna go look at stuff.
Well, that's the advantage of
Mhm.
having an in-person event, right? When you're online, someone's online attention is it's very kind of fickle. Like if they're not doing something they like, they can obviously like just watch some other YouTube video, Twitch stream or
Yeah, like,
whatever. They can just
if you're online, you have so much available to you. But if you're like there, especially since you guys flew in, uh, you you're just stuck there.
yeah.
And when you're stuck there,
You're gonna say,
you
let's go to a panel, let's go
yeah,
to karaoke.
let's go see what Power Nelson's doing at 11 o'clock, or
Mhm.
let's go meet this brown idol chick, or like what is this what is this other girl talking about singing or whatever?
or,
Oh, she looks cute.
or you just go to
Like the thing
the
is, you have
arcade or the
one,
vendor hall and stuff like there's just always just something to
Mhm.
do.
yeah.
Go to a room party.
But then like you're at the arcade, you're playing games and stuff. You meet guys because I saw like there were people streaming the event, or you're like at the vendor hall and you're talking to like Sakana, and he's like, hey, you like these girls? Their names are etc. I run Face Connect,
Oh man.
and
Yeah, that was crazy too. Again, like one thing that you get online is kind of this kind of like the separation between the VTubers, the viewers, the like the staff of the companies and everything like that. And Offkai just felt very like intimate. You could go up, you could go up to the Face Connect people if you want to their staff and talk to them and have a conversation, right? You can talk to all these viewers and stuff in the hallway or a VTuber or whatever, and it just felt natural, right? It just felt like you guys were all just hanging out, being fans and having fun, right? It didn't feel like you were nervous to talk to someone or like it'd be out of line to just walk up and have a conversation. Like I literally walked up to Gun Run, from V Sojo and just started a conversation, and it just became a thing.
Yeah, I
Like Nyar
remember
was there,
that.
and like just people, it just became a nice little conversation. I'm like, this would not have happened in like a YouTube chat room or like a Twitch stream or something, right?
Mhm.
It's
yeah,
Even a
impossible.
Discord
Or a Discord
server,
server,
like
nothing.
mhm. There's
yeah,
such an
like
advantage to like being in person, and I really hope that with the success of Offkai, that people can see like the advantage of like bringing in VTubers to physically meet people, whether it be like through a meet and greet or having like a interactive panel or things like that.
Yeah, and I hope they keep like I know they said they would like to stream it next year, but I hope it keeps a strong like in-person feel to it, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't become a thing where like the majority of the attendants are, streaming it or whatever. I hope it really keeps that strong in-person attendance because I think that's important and it's something you don't really get in the VTuber. Like so many people in this scene are like isolated, right?
Hmm.
Pandemic at home or whatever, and just being able to kind of restore a lot of that in-person like camaraderie is great.
Yeah, and, like, I totally see, here's the thing, I'm kinda split on that because like, I can see the advantage of having, like, maybe certain events streamed, like, things in, like, the main stage, but, the thing is cons, like, physical cons, no one there's never really such thing as streaming even before, like, Rona, so, like, streaming your panel or anything like that, that was kind of, like, unheard of, like, you had to be there to see this panel, like, you had to go physically. So now that there's like such an expectation, which I guess we can kind of blame Rona for that because there was like online events and online conventions that kind of like put that into place. But I really hope that people don't ask for every single event to be streamed just because I really want Offkai to like bring in more people, bring in more
Just
physical warm
right.
bodies because that will keep the event alive. And if they stream everything, especially for free, it's really not going to help the event. So if you're one of those people that did ask like for Offkai to stream everything, take into consideration that if they were to stream all this for free, how would they be able to run like their event next year if they don't get those warm physical bodies to come to that said event, you
Right,
know?
and it's like the hotel, the part of that's the deals they make with the hotel and everything like that, and any
Mhm.
vendors, like especially like the vendors, right? The people in the vendors hall and artist alley and stuff like that are
Yeah.
dependent on physical bodies being there, right? And if everything is streamed, so I mean, you can have some compromises. Obviously, you can have like, okay, I know some of them recorded the panels, show the panels later
Yeah.
after the con or something like that, or like you said, record or stream maybe the concerts, right? Because the concerts aren't really a interactive event, but I
Mhm.
like being in a panel and being able to ask a question or something like that, and it a bunch of
Mhm.
people being online and having a chat and stuff like that might kind of ruin that feel a little bit.
Yeah, it'll ruin the hashtag immersion.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think there were that many that were streamed. At least I didn't see many of them.
No,
Some
I don't think.
people after the con, like they would restream. Like for me, I did a rerun of my panel, and I also did a rerun of my Offkai set list, just to give like those the opportunity to see it. But I think like streaming the event as it happens, it just
Yeah,
I
nah.
don't.
I mean,
Mm-mm.
I think what you're doing is fine, and I think like because everybody got recordings of their stuff, so they could just put it out there, and I think that's fine. But
Yeah, we
if
got to keep
you,
the live experience.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of,
besides, even if it was streamed, I don't think it would feel the same.
oh no,
No,
definitely not.
definitely.
Definitely not.
So I still think there's like some, yeah, some value. There's always going to be value for showing up physically.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like like recording it is like a good middle ground there,
Yeah, definitely.
especially because some people, because like also if you stream it, like who's getting paid for it, like if it's not free, if they decide to charge for it, like it becomes a mess, right? Because you're dealing with a whole bunch of
Yeah.
different companies and a bunch of independent VTubers as well. And yeah, so I think just having it close to what they have now, maybe do some recordings or just specific events may be streamed by specific, you know like companies holding their own events. But overall, I love the in-person feel of it. And
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I mean, it'd be interesting to see it when it's bigger, right?
Yeah, definitely. I really do feel that it's going to be doubling next
Oh
year.
yeah, I mean at least.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people got a taste of it now.
And there's all this other stuff, like obviously, you had the official events going on, like the panels, the meet and greets, and the concerts and karaoke. Even like the tournaments and everything like that. But there's a lot of other stuff happening, like again, so Viewertown had the press press badge, right? So I was like, okay, I have to just to justify getting this, right?
Yeah,
So
you ran all over the place.
yeah, I ran all over the place, taking a lot of footage that we still need to edit. Like, I would have hoped to have it out by now, but I had a very, very busy IRL schedule. Like right after Offkai, I was headed, to somewhere for work, and then, so basically, like this week, I'm just getting home. Starting to be able to catch up on all this backlog stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had 3 interviews um, as part of like the Viewertown coverage of the event. So we had, of course, Nyaruchuuu here gave us a nice interview, as well as her court mate Phoebe, and Kisaka Toriyama also gave us an interview, and we'll be releasing that content, as we finish it, hopefully soon. We plan to make a kind of like a recap coverage video and also release the interviews as well.
Based.
Based,
Yeah.
which was
Based on what? These dots on your chin. Aha, got
which was
him.
also.
Man, how come Niaru gets stabbed 2
Yeah,
interviews?
the arrow gets that like, oh my god. But
Well, now you gotta interview Phoebe and Kisa. You gotta have them on here
oh
now.
man, yeah. I mean, I definitely have it on here. I need to make sure I get their content out because that whole thing was kind of nerve wracking for me, right? Because it's not like I've interviewed people for like jobs before, right? But I've definitely not
Mm-hmm.
like super experienced in terms of in-person interviews. So I had to set up like the everything kind of last minute. Plus, I was had a little assistant, and they weren't available for the first 2 interviews. They may have been sleeping a little bit from too much partying the last day. So next,
But honestly, no, Jeremy, you did such a good job, and this is coming from someone who's done interviews in the past, and has been around the con scene and has done my own press stuff. And when me and Phoebe were serious about, like, we were serious when we say like this is one of our best interviews we've done because you
oh come
actually went
on,
to our
come on.
panels. No, no, we're being serious when we say this. We said this so many times to you, like we really are super impressed that you actually went to our panels. You did research because like trust me, not a lot of press people do that, okay? You think it's like kind of basic,
Yes,
but
it's like
for a
just
lot
doing due diligence, right? Like if you're going to interview
yeah,
someone,
exactly. It's basic. You think this is basic, but you'd be surprised how people just kind of get the press and then just like don't really do much with it or do the bare minimum so they can, get the free badge or whatever.
Well, I mean, what can you say? Good help is hard to find, right? Like maybe those people
Mhm.
just free roll it too much. I mean, I'm kind of surprised again. Like I kind of got the press badge at the last minute, right? And it's not like we had a super impressive resume to
Well,
go
I mean,
on, but
it's good for them
right.
regardless to like have people talking about it because by the time we're releasing this stuff, it's gonna be like what a month out, and it's just gonna keep the Offkai name in
Oh
circulation.
yeah, yeah. We
So
want to like, yeah, we want to keep it, keep it in people's minds, especially, you know, they're going to start planning for next year's con probably, fairly soon as well. At least get an idea of who's going to be interested and where they're going to hold and all that stuff. So just getting more eyes and ears on it will be great. And I don't know if anyone else. I
Mhm.
know a couple of people. I know Leaflet had a little recap stream. Oh, and Pippa was doing this like live. Looking at people's tweets and everything, and having kind of like a live off guy review on her stream, which was also kind of awesome.
yeah,
You know,
I think
Mhm.
we're gonna get a lot more of that next year.
yeah, especially for people who can't be there, the people who are just there virtually. If they have someone feeding them, pictures or just like reading the tweets or stuff from Discord or whatever and commenting on it, that's a cool kind of immersive thing, right? And that can be for someone, again, people who are virtual that are, if we're not streaming the event, that could still be part of the participation in the event. You can have the VTubers kind of,
Mhm.
holding their own kind of quote unquote fresh coverage of the event for people who can't be there. And, afterwards, they could, watch the panel recordings if they wish, or, any of that stuff. So I think there's like a lot of kind of like cross pollination, that kind of a lot of like
There's
promotion that could
definitely
be
untapped
done.
potential. There's a lot of untapped. Actually, funny that you mentioned that. Me and Phoebe were actually planning to do like 2 streams together during Offkai, like at the
Like
hotel and
during it. Oh
everything.
man, that's a lot.
Yeah, like during it, we were gonna do something, but our schedules got way too out of hand to the point where we just kind of like forgot about it. We woke up Sunday morning and we were like, "Huh, we forgot to do those streams." Oh
Yeah,
well.
that's the same thing I
uh,
felt like. Like I wanted to go to like a ton more channels and events, but I just ended up editing
Yeah,
video in my hotel room after, having interviews and stuff.
yeah, you guys
yeah,
were super.
like
I was gonna ask, since you guys were super busy, like what panels did you guys go to?
the only panel I have vivid remembrance of is Kisa's VTuber Two Truths and a Lie panel, because that was the panel me and Ichan went to go eat our pizza at.
Yes.
Because they were like, "Oh, it's empty. Let's just eat our pizza there. We can support Kisa at the same time." So we ate our pizza. Germ sat actually next to us, so that was funny too. So me and Ichan were eating pizza. We had the water thing right there. We were
I did
just
not get
like,
any
we were
pizza,
like
unfortunately.
cap, no cap at Kisa, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I think only went like 5 or 6 actual like sit down panels, because I was just running around doing a ton of stuff. But next year when Viewertown comes in force, we'll have plenty of people covering all the panels and events and stuff. Which actually, I'm
to,
looking at the schedule again. Oh wait, go ahead, Grilla.
to be
Yeah,
determined.
to be determined. Maybe you'll actually be there, Grilla. Your presence was sorely missed. Um, but I was also surprised at the variety of panels, right? One thing like going into it, I was like, are they just gonna have a bunch of panels where it's like I'm ex VTuber talking about myself, not really a ton of,
Oh, I was really scared of
yeah.
that.
But there was a good mix of panels, from just like practical ones, how to build your
How
website
to
or like network or do.
how to do this and that. There was a good ASMR one that Muga did that I sat in on a little bit until I had to go to my next event.
Mhm.
And yeah, there was a lot of like tutorial panels. There was a lot of like educational lecture panels. The only thing I wish that there was more of was more, I guess, like, because it's funny. It's funny that we were talking about like, interaction with all the VTubers and everything, but I really wish there was more interactive panels where you can do like a cute like the face connect Kahoot, or we could do like Jackbox games to just like chill out and like host something for the viewers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like Kisaka's panel was a little like that. It was like a little game show thing, right? That
Yeah,
was that they
exactly.
had the
That's
audience.
that's exactly what I want to see.
Yeah. So
Mm-mm.
you have a good mix of like kind of like the fun, like in-person, interactive events. You have a good mix of the like informative or educational ones, and there's a bunch of like just like random history ones too. Stuff you want to know. Like I know, like there's the Shirelli VTubing origins one. There's a lot of like history
Mhm.
ones where you might not know, like these little corners of like VTuber VTubing forbidden lore, right?
Mhm.
And again, like it's so important when you're going to have an event with a bunch of people who might only be exposed to a very very small section of the community, to know that there's so much out there. These people are looking at the schedule and like, oh, that looks, I didn't know what that was, right?
Mhm.
That was definitely me every time I went to a con. Like, you're there, you might as well do something. Maybe learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or get to know some people.
Yeah.
Did you meet anyone that you've like at the con that now you're like talking to after the fact?
Probably a lot with Kisa, definitely Kisa. Phoebe definitely a lot. Like we would talk like, regularly and like our Esper chats and everything, but I feel like we've gotten a lot more closer. Um Definitely my staff member Ichan, gotten a lot closer with him too. Uh yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all really. I'm a little closer with Face Connect people now too, I guess.
Did
You
people,
know,
did people ever DM you?
Did you
them
ever
being a pussy,
DM
I'm sorry.
Nyaru?
No,
Nyaru, okay,
no.
so Viewertown
Come on, you have
listeners,
to take initiative.
Viewertown listeners, I went out to bat for Nyaru, right? She
No.
didn't want to. She was scared, to DM Pippa or whatever, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna go to the Pippa meet and greet. I don't really watch Pippa that often, but I'll just go and I'll just, I'll go to bat to Nyaru, tell her that she should DM her. And of course, I'll represent Viewertown, shill the podcast and that all. And that
Chill.
backfired on. So I go in there, talking all high and mighty. I'm like, I'm Mightygerm for Viewertown podcast. Have you heard of us? People was like, no. Who are
Who? Who? Literally
literally
who?
who?
Well, the thing is, she must have seen our Twitter page because she retweeted something that we posted.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but
score one for
Hey,
the
it
good.
worked.
Score one for the good guys.
but true Pippa fashion is just like instant. Uh
hey,
just like the
hey, come
instant
on,
beat down.
you can get to know us.
Yeah. But she was, she was really fun, and I told her to DM Nyaru, or Nyaru to DM her, and look, all that work for nothing, as Nyaru has not DM'd Pippa yet.
We have interacted on
Oh
Twitter
my, that
at
doesn't
least
count.
10 times. Actually,
That
10
doesn't
times
count.
interaction
That's
equals
a
one
start.
DM.
That's a start.
No.
You have to start. You gotta start small, Germ. You don't get it. You just can't go out all up chat on a VTuber and be like, "Hi, I'm Mighty Germ from Viewertown Podcast," and then they tell you, "Literally, who are you?" That's like
That's what I did
reading your
though.
Oshi. Okay, yeah, but that's like the
Yeah, but then,
equivalent of your
then,
Oshi reading your DM but never responding to it.
yeah, but she did respond, and
Never,
at least he did. At least he did it.
never introduce yourself to your Hoshi
Never DM your Oshi.
at Offkai. Oh god, there's gonna be a ton of
Don't go to
memes
your
next
Oshi's
time.
meet and greet.
Yeah, never meet and greet your Hoshi. Oh man, that was fun. So also, man, it was sad to leave as well. You know,
Yeah. I was so sad. I had to actually I missed out on Pippa Meet and Greet because my flight was the
Oh
like
yeah, you
30
left
minutes
early.
after. Yeah, I left at like around noonish, but my flight was at 11, not 11, 12:30. So I couldn't make it to the Pippa Meet and Greet. But then it turns out my flight was delayed by like 2 hours. So I technically could have
just
made
sitting
it.
there kind of at the airport
I'm not
early.
kidding you. I literally walked into my gate and then they changed a sign to "Sorry, we're delayed by like an hour." I'm like, well, fuck me and my ass. So me being the bougie person I am, just plopped out my priority pass and went to
You
the
went to
lounge
the
and
old
cried.
Centurion Lounge with your.
Actually, San Jose does not have a Centurion Lounge. They have a priority pass lounge called the Club, and that's where I got my sparkling soda and cried.
It's hard to be sympathetic for you, Next thing you'll be, oh man, I couldn't go to the meet and greets. They had to give me
Oh
a
my!
dom p. I had to just cry into my champagne as I had the FOMO.
They had no champagne there actually.
Oh man.
No beer. It was just soft drinks and water and crackers and cheese and uh What's the stuff that you put on the fish egg shit?
You
What's it
mean
called?
caviar?
Caviar.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
they had
just had
that.
caviar, just casually. Ugh.
I don't like caviar. I'm not a big fan of it. So
Too bougie even to eat caviar.
bougie, too bougie.
But yeah, if like people listening to this, they may have not been to a con before, just starting to schedule it. Like, I highly recommend. While most cons tend to like start in the middle of the day on Friday and kind of end in the middle of the day on Sunday, really give yourself several extra hours, I would say, or book or
Mm-hmm.
overnight to the next day if you're able to schedule that, because it's just like it removes the stress, right? Of trying to like do
Mm-hmm.
some last minute things. Like the best time to visit the vendors hall, is at like Sunday, afternoon. So definitely give yourself time to like fully enjoy the con, to rest afterwards, and then go on the airplane when it's like convenient.
I really recommend that too. It's funny because usually I stay like, I always get the Thursday, do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then leave Monday. But because it's a little bit cheaper to leave on Sunday this time, I decided to leave on Sunday. Surprisingly cheaper.
Yeah, yeah. Well, flights are kind of all crazy now, pandemic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But thinking forward, next year, next Offkai, other than having a Viewertown panel, which we will be applying for 100%. Like, what would you like to see, or like, what would you like them to change?
Hmm. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like internally I would like to change, but on the outside, I really just hope, like I said earlier about like the streaming stuff, I hope that they don't like kind of like give into like that peer pressure and stream everything or have everyone stream everything because I feel like you're gonna lose a lot of that warm bodies that are becoming because people will be like, oh well, I can just watch the stream instead of going to like the event or whatever, or you start have to dealing with like streaming rights or whatever and paying fees and things like that. So I really hope that in the end, again, they just don't give into peer pressure and they just keep doing not the exact formula, of course, because everything can be improved, but keep doing what they're pretty much already doing, just more improved.
Right. One thing that we like had a little bit of trouble with was kind of like the schedule coming out really late compared to most cons and things like
Mm,
that, and not really knowing, how things are going to work out. So again, this is their debut. Like, probably a
Yeah.
lot of things were planned at the, at the last minute, but just having that scheduled out earlier, having all that stuff out a couple weeks beforehand would be great, just for planning purposes and everything.
Yeah,
mm,
because I, that was brought up a little bit early in the beginning where they were very splintered with the information that was coming out, so people couldn't really even tell what was happening until
I don't know,
it
because
was like
like
March.
so for me, it coming from Texas and Texas con goers, you guys know the struggle. It's actually pretty normal, at least like in the South or Texas area, that cons will release their schedules like very last minute. So like part of me was like, I'm so used to this, I don't care anymore. But at the same time, they have the advantage of like changing that right now, and I really do hope that they take advantage of it.
Right, right. And the stuff like we talked about, the technical difficulties, but I'm sure they'll clean that up
Hmm.
with the panel interaction and things like that. I'm sure
Hmm.
they will iron all that out next time. Oh, and there was a little bit of the technical difficulties with the concert as well, right?
Yeah, I think again that was on the end of the people streaming in, not necessarily the connection there at the event. Because surprisingly, the only three major technical difficulties that were that whole weekend, well, four, counting the Power Nielsen one, was the Niji Sanji uh going in and out, Yodo going in and out, but I already know because Yodo has like crappy internet.
Hmm.
And then Phoebe's uh audio difficulty, which happened because the computer crashed, apparently, from
Jeez.
what I understand. So those are really the four major technical difficulties I know of that weekend. And for a very high tech con that relies a lot on internet connection and different technologies, pretty good track record for a three. That's almost like one per day.
Yeah, like especially like this is a con where a tech difficulty can just make a panel or an event dead, right? If someone can't
Mhm.
remote in or something like that. I would like more. well, I don't know how much of that of this was planned like out of, outside of the con things, but I would like more kind of fan meetup, like stuff like that. I know like Phoebe had like a little like impromptu fan
Mhm.
meetups. But like if you've been to big anime cons, they had like the cosplay meetups, like maybe a cosplay contest of some sort, right?
Yeah, there was definitely because I did see a lot of Ichisanji cosplayers there, but, uh since the cosplay wasn't really the main focus of this event, it's just like I feel like they got put in the back burner. So hopefully like next year they can have like a cosplay sort of like showcase event where maybe they can like invite cosplayers that are cosplaying like that certain day and they can like, start their stuff. Doesn't really need to be like competition or anything, just like a cool showcase to show off like all the cool VTuber cosplays and that you can cosplay VTubers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, I think we'll definitely see more of that next year as well. I was able to talk to a
The
couple of the cosplayers. They're all very nice.
Mhm.
speaking of which, though, I wonder how competitive it's gonna be to get like a panel next year.
It will probably be super competitive
Yeah,
because from what I
just because it was like the schedule was super packed, but
Mhm.
people now realize that this is a huge success, or there's a lot of potential here, so everyone's gonna apply.
Yeah, I hope they.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of people that got panels this time around, some of them were just kind of like just random, like they had decent numbers, but they were still relatively like names that people wouldn't really know.
yeah. I mean, at this
Mhm.
size, like they, Offkai probably, they had to take who would, show up. Which I guess is another thing, right? They go next year, they're gonna have a ton more interest, right? And there's so many. The vast majority of the panels were remote panels, right? I'm
Yeah.
wondering
Mhm.
if they will restrict it more to people who are there, whether they're using their avatar or not.
I would love to see
But
that,
the
honestly. I
panels,
said I wanna see viewer panels because I know, like, yeah, cool VTuber panel, but I wanna see panels that were also run by actual viewers and actual fans. Like, teach me more about Nijisanji viewers, teach me more about Hololive viewers. Like, where the heck were you guys? I was so surprised. I really so this is my call to all the viewers out there. Go make a panel, even if it's just like an introduction to V Shoujo. I don't care. I really want to see you guys come out and do some creative stuff. It's good to get your brain and your noggin jogging.
man, I mean, they
Hey,
can make a panel all about finding the best skeb artist. I know some of you out there
Yeah,
are experts
exactly.
at that.
yeah, because there was a lot of panels where it was like how to get started, or how to like train your vocals, or stuff like that. Just like honing a
Mhm.
skill. But it would be interesting to see. Like, I'm surprised the companies didn't do this, where they had like a panel explaining who they are, or did they?
And
Mm,
so for ours, we had like a small introduction like to who we are as like as pro. But as far as like Face Connect and V Shoujo were, I'm not too sure. Germ, do you happen to know?
no, no, no. I don't think there's like a purely like kind of corporate focused one. But again, like I said like earlier in the show, like I would like try to avoid panels that are just about the person or the VTuber or the company or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like if they want to like
No.
do like some
The
sort
thing
of deep
is,
dive or something, that would be
um,
interesting.
no,
Yeah.
the thing I was gonna say is that they revealed the Gen 2 silhouettes for Face Connect. And I thought that was like really interesting, because this was the first time where there was like an event where people from companies can go to and then reveal something like it's E3 or
Oh
something.
yeah,
Instead
that's
Mhm.
important.
That is true.
instead of just dropping it on like a Wednesday or something. I thought that was so cool, and they should have done that for more. They should have like had more things like that. Like V showed you could have showed like their new member or something like that. I guess people didn't really plan for this, because they didn't know how how successful it was going to be. But I think,
I feel like next year that's gonna be a really big draw for like the
yeah,
corporates to
like
announce something super big.
yeah, because like it felt very legitimate that they like were able to have a platform, or to like reveal, and it felt exclusive because you were there and you get to see
Mhm.
it.
You saw it first before everyone else.
Yeah, before it like got on Twitter.
Yeah, that's huge now that I'm thinking about it. I can't believe like it like slipped my mind, right? Because VTubers don't have something like you said, like an E3 or like a like Comic Con where it's like there's going to be a ton of eyes.
Yeah,
That
there's gonna be like a bunch of like people that are big in the industry, and they're gonna be there.
You
They're gonna be
know
like, hey,
I'm
we're coming up.
surprised that no one did a debut. Like there was no big debut happening at
Yeah,
Offkai.
honestly,
Like
I genuinely think that people just did not realize, understand, or like they probably didn't realize how big this was gonna be.
Mhm.
Man, that's gonna be sweet. You know, we're like in there, like in the opening ceremony or closing ceremonies or something like that, and it's gonna be world premiere, and you're gonna see like a bunch
World
of
premiere of like original song from Corpo VTuber. Let's go.
Or like they add in like they're adding new members to stuff
a
like
whole
that,
new gen or
costumes,
like something. Yeah.
like sneak peeks, because that's something that really draws people to events are the reveals and exclusive information.
Mhm.
Man,
But
now
yeah,
I'm like
I thought
super
them doing, I
excited
thought them,
next year.
I
It's
thought
literally
them
gonna be
doing
the
that was
E3 of
really cool.
VTubing.
But
Hey,
yeah, they could on it because they were the first. They honestly could have a branding that big down the line
Mhm.
because nobody else is doing it.
all right, we're gonna become the official press coverage of Hawkeye. Your town will aim to hold that crown. We're gonna grow the. We're gonna grow together.
Mhm.
Oh man. Okay, was there anything we missed? I think we like.
I think we nailed everything on
I
the
think we
head.
nailed everything. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened. You know, and I'm not going to get into people's like private, obviously stuff like that. But
yeah,
Mhm.
you guys hung out a lot. So
what happens in Offkai stays in Offkai.
yeah. Hey, next year there's probably gonna be some orgies, so I'll be
I'll
there.
just I just peeked around the corner and watched them.
Someone's going to bring a ball pit, and then everything's going to go downhill from there.
Dude, I can't. Yeah, honestly, one of the things I thought about was like, I'm surprised there was no drama about this or like at the event. I thought there might. Well,
Uh,
uh, what
uh,
happened?
we'll tell you later. How about
yeah.
that?
Okay. Oh well, if it doesn't matter if it was just there. Who cares? It's only cool. It's only big if it somehow
If,
got out on
if
Twitter.
it leaks out. Although I think there's like
Yeah.
in terms of
Mhm.
like it's like not major drama, but obviously like the
Yeah.
FOMO,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, that's like whatever, honestly. Like people don't realize how big it was gonna be. So
Mhm.
I mean, all right. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us for our Offkai Expo review episode. And I'd like to thank Nyaruchuuu for joining us today. You can find her stream at twitch.tv/Nyaruchuuu. We'll have the link in the show notes as well.
Thank you guys for inviting me
yep.
today. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, show your plug yourself.
Oh, yeah. So thank you again so much, viewers, for listening. Once again, I'm Nyaru, the Shining Eternal. I didn't even say that right. the
Yeah, Eternal
Eternal,
shooting,
the
mating
Eternal
press stars.
mating press. I'm into that.
Dumb. Okay, well,
Viewertown exclusive world premiere.
Viewertown exclusive. But yes, hi everyone. My name is Nyaru. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to catch me on Twitch, I'll be live every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. PT and Thursday and Friday at noon p.m. PT for the Euro Bros out there. And I also have a YouTube as well, which you can go check out some of my clips. And on Twitter, where I just shitpost all day and cry and complain. So come check me out. Thank you so much.
yep.
Deuces.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.